My dear brothers and my dear sisters, the Akhirah is one of the most central concepts in Islam. There isn't a page in the Qur'an, hardly you would find a page in the Qur'an in which the Akhirah is not mentioned. It is the greatest news that the Prophet ﷺ came to bring. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَمَّا يَتَسَاءَلُونَ. What are they quarreling about? In An-Naba, what are they quarreling about? عَمَّا يَتَسَاءَلُونَ. What are they asking you about? عَنِ النَّبَإِ الْعَظِيمِ. About the greatest of all news. And what's that? And Allah goes on to explain the greatest news in Surah An-Naba. What's in it? A whole ordeal of Al-Akhirah. And Islam without the Akhirah is an Islam that is gutted, is an Islam that is asphyxiated, an Islam that doesn't bear fruit, no whatsoever. And for so long, my dear brothers and my dear sisters, talking about the Akhirah, bring this idea of dour and gloominess and darkness. You know, we don't want to ruin our mood. Let's not talk about the Akhirah. Because our perception of the Akhirah is wrong. We think of the Akhirah as this, the adab al-qabr and the hellfire and all of that, and so on. We should. It's central in the Qur'an. Every part of the Qur'an is about that. So how can we deny that? What is it in us that doesn't want to speak about the Akhirah? If it's not our nafs and our egos and our whims that are hurt, our bad choices that are hurt when we think of Al-Akhirah, when we are exposed to the Akhirah, when we are face to face with it, whether in the Qur'an or in our gatherings and so on. And how often we speak about the Akhirah, my dear brothers and my dear sisters. How often we speak about the Akhirah equates how much of faith we have in our hearts. If the Akhirah is central to every single action that I do, then you can imagine the level of closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be. If the Akhirah is before every action that I take and every choice that I make, you can think of what type of choices you would be making and what type of action we would be taking. The Akhirah is central. The Akhirah is central to our understanding of Islam and to our salvation in the hereafter. Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi ta'ala says in Kimya al-Sa'ada, وَالْقَلْبُ مَخْلُوقٌ. He said, الْقَلْبُ مَخْلُوقٌ لِعَمَلِ الْآخِرَةِ طَلَبًا لِسَعَادَتِهِ. He said that the heart is created only to do the work of the Akhirah. The heart is created only to do the work of the Akhirah, seeking the salvation of the human being. And you can find that again and again in the Qur'an. Every page, again and again in the Qur'an. The facets of the Akhirah and the manifestations of the Akhirah and the impact of the Akhirah in our life should be far away from the gloominess and the dowriness and the darkness that we think of the Akhirah, that we think the Akhirah would bring to us when we think about it. The Akhirah should bring hope to us. The Prophet ﷺ told us, Hadith rawah Imam Bukhari, that if the hour is happening and in the hand of yours, there is no hopeful statement better than this ever. You will never find in the human history a statement more hopeful than this one. And it relates centrally to the Akhirah. Prophet ﷺ said that if in the hand of one of yours, a sprout, and the hour is happening, then let him or let her plant it. The hour is happening, and the sprout is in your hand. It's futile. It's useless. Nobody will benefit from that. It won't grow to be anything. Still, you plant it. And every facet of our lives, the Akhirah is central. Every facet. Think about it. Every part of you think of Al-Akhirah and it will be better. Think of Al-Akhirah and you will be better. Every time, husband or wife, you think of Al-Akhirah, you will be forgiven. Because you say to myself, I'm married to this person for the sake of Allah and for the Akhirah. And if you love them for the Akhirah, and if we are sons and daughters of the Akhirah, then having a burnt lunch or dinner would make the whole house burn. You will be forgiven to the person that you're married to. You will have more compassionate. You'll be more forgiving. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ was told in the Qur'an, إِنَّ السَّاعَةَ لَآتِيَةٌ فَاصْفَحِ الصَّفْحَ الْجَمِيلِ, that the hour is coming to forgive, but not any forgiveness, a beautiful, gracious forgiveness. You'll overlook the small things that make life difficult. You overlook them because in the scheme, in the greatest perspective of life and the hereafter, this doesn't matter. The small thing that I'm going to lose my wife for, when I'm going to make her upset about or make him upset about, is useless. I pass because of the Akhirah. It makes us better leaders, better responsible people. Whatever responsibilities you have, you think of Al-Akhirah and you strive to do it right. You think of Al-Akhirah and every single thing of life becomes a subject of ihsan. Every part. You think of Al-Akhirah and you value every single thing. Because every single thing has a soul. And every single thing make dhikr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you will be watchful. And you will pay attention. And you will be vigilant. And what's the opposite of vigilant, my dear brothers and my dear sisters? Heedless and forgetful. And people do all kind of choices because they're heedless. Because they're forgetful. The Akhirah brings the resolve of the believer. The Akhirah strengthens the irada. There are two things that strengthen the irada for the people who are seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the salikin. Two important things. The first one is reading the Qur'an. And the second one is remembering Al-Akhirah. It brings you back and you have perspective. And it narrows all the priorities in life and few. And now you're focused. You don't have to please many gods when you think of Al-Akhirah. You don't have to make concessions and compromises that are harmful to you when you think of Al-Akhirah. Salat will not be delayed when you think of Al-Akhirah. When the Akhirah is there and at the forefront of our thinking, from the very beginning of the day until the end of the day, you'll think of every single choice you make will be a choice that is good. It won't be harmful. At least it won't be harmful because you know that there are ramifications. You know that choice will be presented in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and it might be shameful. Forget about the sin. Fudayl ibn Ayyad rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi used to say, oh my God, what a shame even if you forgive. What a shame even if you forgive. Like I'm presented in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and He said, I forgive you, but what a shame that I come holding my sin. And it's been told to me in front of Allah ta'ala, nobody is in there, just between me and Him. What a shame. What a shame even if you forgive. My dear brothers and my dear sisters, the concept of the Akhirah strengthen our resolves and give us patience to go through life in a very sober way. In a very sober way.